Protecting Jamaica. Hello.
Neighbor, we have a guest, Miller Grace. Go ahead, Miller Grace.
Miller Grace, good evening to you. Not hearing Miller Grace. Okay. All right. 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's open the lines. Listeners, if you wanna come up for the next 20 minutes or so, we can go to 9:30. Let's hear what you have to say now in terms of how we are going to refocus, and if you have a contribution that you want to make on the subject before us tonight. Let's hear from our listeners. If you are listening and you want to add something to the conversation, then we'll be happy to have you. Good evening to you, listener. Miller Grace. Miller Grace, good evening to you. No, not hearing her at all. I wonder if it's a him. Not hearing her at all. In the meantime, Protecting Jamaica, if you open back your mic, I could throw something to you. You could answer it while we ask our listeners if there's anything that they want to add, then they could come up at this time and share it with us. So Protecting.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, a nation protecting is not distracted because information exists. It is distracted because attention is unmanaged. How do we refocus? Not removing voices, but restoring the hierarchy. What matters most? What matters next? What matters less? Could we structure, for example, our discourse in that format? The hierarchical management of information, where you look at what matters most, which Harry just addressed, what matters next, and what matters less. Let me ask you to illustrate, for example, Protecting. Last week, what you think was the thing in Jamaica that matters most? What matters next and what matters less?
Last week, the thing in Jamaica that mattered most, was the situation with Dennis Dodd. What mattered less? What mattered less?
But what matters next?
What matters next?
And then less.
Right. What matters next is that after that whole thing, we get to some resolution on how to move forward, how to fix the system.
Yes.
Looking forward to the investigation and so on. And what matters less is the very thing that disrupted and upended.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying here.
Yes, I realize.
Yes.
So
it's not that information does not exist,
right?
But we have not structured the information in terms of the hierarchical structure. What we have done is gone for what matters less, and that's where the distraction comes in.
And neighbor, you know how we can fix that, neighbor?
Yes.
The first time I walked into an open space, it was a community engagement center that was used leading up to an election here. And the first time I walked into that space, I saw over 100 persons, and the election was months out, quite a while out. And I saw over 100 tech expert, I can call them. I couldn't call them anything else. And they were strategically combing through the socials, communicating, going through, that was their job, managing information. While you have another group who were doing opposition research, and then you have another set disaggregating information, and then you have another set putting forward what should be published. And I walked around that room for all the time I was in that room. And what those people were doing, they were controlling the narrative out there on behalf of the party. And I remember when I suggested that, after having learned that, and now became a participant in the political discussion, I openly suggested that to the Jamaica Labour Party. Hire some people. I privately suggested it first before I openly suggested it. Hire some people who are experts in tech. The new politics, the new era of politics, which is in an effort to protect democracy in a neighbor. It's not that it is a new bad thing. It is just in an effort to protect democracy because the world has changed. So the new approach to politics is a politics that considers strongly www, and especially the social platforms. It considers that strongly. Now, these guys who were in that room, you see, when everything was done and they were cutting checks to pay for services after the election was done, neighbor, and no chicken feed, then they sit down in that room, sit down around the computer, them find out, no chicken feed me, No, neighbor, even though I can't tell you exactly too much detail, but I know chicken feeding. It's expensive to maintain democracy, but we need to decide, is it worth it to save democracy, continue to service it and maintain it? Or because it is too expensive, should we just push it aside and leave ourselves open to somebody who might very well grow into a tyrant that we might hate to live in that kind of situation that the tyrant might create? And so, neighbor, as I always say, if you have a system of communication that is next to flawless, and there are many of those around the world, if we have a system of communication that is next to flawless, then there will be no need to be cleaning up after some mess like the one Mr. Malav caused. Because from day one, Mr. Malav raising head, if there was a system, his story would have dead before 12 hours. And that is the purpose of that room that I walked into, neighbor. No story was supposed to live past 6 hours. No story not supposed to live past 6 hours. That's it.
Yes.
And that's a political side of the whole thing. So yes, we can refocus, we can recalibrate. We can always go back there. I don't know if the government is thinking that it have a little bit of time on its hand, so it can whatever, but we cannot run the risk again of allowing the PMP to run the country for 4 years saying stuff that don't go so. And then by the time you respond, now it's sinking already and form the basis of truth for a lot of people, even though they are lies.
In other words, we cannot allow distraction to determine our future.
No, we cannot allow distraction to pave the road on which we walk into our future.
Correct. Absolutely.
We cannot allow that.